Hey, what's up, everybody? Tuesday nights, September 2022. What's going on? Just hanging out, just chilling, just going online to see what everybody's up to tonight. Thought maybe we just chit chat a little bit. I'm right on the cusp of hitting 10,000 subs. So I'm 13 subs away from hitting 10,000. I'm fucking stoked. Blocko's Modern Love, my Irish friend. What's up? What's up, buddy? Thanks for jumping on, man. What are you doing right now? I always feel weird, like just jumping on here with no program, but sometimes it's like, I don't know. At some point, I'm gonna normalize this shit. I'm just gonna be up here and you know, it was like weird because like the channel grew so slow. It was like, let's see, so I can't get it right. So slow, like this way. And then like for years, so slow. And then all of a sudden it's been like this, right? And then I'm like, okay, all of a sudden I'm like, I got all these like people subbing to my channel, and all I ever do are like, basically like a few horror reviews or movie reviews here or there, and then like commentaries and stuff. And I don't really connect with anybody in a real way. So I just figured I just try to make myself available whenever I do. Like nobody's really online except for a couple of the diehard fans. But I figure if I just try to just keep being open, man, just be open. Maybe you'll catch people at the right time. Maybe Monday, Tuesday nights are at the right time. Maybe it's better Thursday night. Maybe it's better Sunday night. I don't know. But you have to try to cast a wide net. So, sometimes these things fail. Sometimes they work out good. But, you know, Blocko says, I'm just watching Stranger Things. Yeah, I haven't. I'm like halfway through season 3, and I need to see season 4. Uh, Stranger Things I liked a lot for the first 2 seasons, and then the subsequent seasons after that kind of like didn't really do it for me because it kind of got stale. But I heard this last season was really good, so I'm kind of like, well, all right, well, if it improved, then maybe I'll go back and watch the episodes that I didn't really want to finish watching just to get the story so I can watch the new season. Um, you know, it's all about the writing, man. Like it could be 80s, it could be 70s, it could be 60s, it could be now. It doesn't matter. As long as the writing's good, I like it, like sometimes I feel like media these days, it leans so heavy on, like 80s nostalgia as a crutch. Yeah, you're in third season. There's 4 seasons, right? 4. So you're probably where I am, but I mean, I'll get around to finishing it. It's not a hot topic for me anymore. Like the first couple seasons, I was really into it, and then it just kind of became like, I don't know. It's like the Walking Dead. It just after a while became really formulaic and like unimaginative and just sort of like the status quo. It's like you had to be a zombie to actually watch that show and be into it after like the first 3 or 4 seasons. It was like, this is the same thing over and over again. It's just they put a different like, costume on it. Like on the, every season it'd be a different villain. It was just they just dropped back into oppression mode, and then when they were oppressed, their oppressors just had like a different sort of like makeup on them, and then it was just it just became really repetitive. They never broke out of their mold. I mean, at least I don't think they did. Maybe they did, and I just because I stopped watching, I got really bored of it. But It's like if you're going to be inventive, okay, if you're going to keep a show going for a long time, I think, there are like certain shows that do it real well. Like Breaking Bad was amazing. I know everybody sucks that show's dick, but it was really, the writing was always really, really good. And it just always kept you guessing and stuff. And there were certain shows that did that. And I felt like Walking Dead and Stranger Things, they always kind of like fall into the trap of, okay, we're going to do something new, but it's not going to be creative. It's just going to be, we're going to paint up everything in a different, like, it's like putting, how do I explain it? It's like, we're going to just dress up the same thing in a different outfit, but underneath it's the same thing. It's like, it's not, if you're smart enough to understand narrative at all, it just gets really boring. And you're like, okay, it's the same thing as the last season and the same thing as the last season. Dialogue changes, the characters changes, but they follow a mode. They're like, okay, this works, so we're not going to change it. So we're going to change the characters and we're going to put in flashy characters or whatever, but we're going to keep the same, mold. And then you're like, it just gets old. It just gets boring. So what's your thoughts on the Ty West Mia Goth trilogy? Oh yeah, so it's funny because like me and my podcast buddies have a little like, messenger group, and they were the ones that kind of filled me in on all the info on that, because I never saw X, and I really want to. I never saw it. I never saw it when it came out, and I wanted to see it. And then Pearl dropped, and they're like, "Oh, Pearl X, whatever." I'm like, "What's the connection?" And they're like, "You don't know? Like, it's like the prequel to X, and X is really good," and blah blah blah. I'm like, I had no idea. So I still haven't seen them both, and I'm basically in a holding pattern right now to just watch them on demand. I'll pay for them, just they're like $6 rental. Obviously, I'll watch X first, and then I'll watch Pearl. I'm really curious about both of them though, because they seem like they're in the vein of the sort of subversive, dark, gritty kind of sexualized exploitation, late 70s, early 80s slasher films or whatever. And I love that kind of stuff. So I'm definitely excited to see it, but I just haven't done it yet. So um I'm late to the party on that one. So, revoke my horror host card if you have to, but yeah, I'm gonna definitely watch and judge, I'm excited to see it, I'm actually kind of stoked that I waited so long to see X that a prequel came out, and now I get to watch them together. Yeah, I heard Maxine. Yeah, Triple X Maxine in the yeah, of course, in the 80s, whatever. I'll watch the fuck out of that shit, of course. I'm totally digesting the new Hellraiser trailer that came out tonight, and I was like, wow. I thought the trailer was really good. I thought it was really good. I was like, there was nothing really in it that I objected to. I thought it was like, it felt like classic Hellraiser. Now that's just a trailer, so it could be a bait and switch. We don't know. They're clever, so they're clever like that. Clever where they'll make you think that you're getting classic Hellraiser, the original, and then they all of a sudden give you this like like giant pile of dog shit. But I just, I see a trailer like that, I try to be optimistic. I try to be like, all right, it might be cool. I think so. I don't know. I think so though. I think he might be. They definitely dropped his name hardcore. Block So Modern Love. I'm gonna call you BML, all right? BML. I think they dropped his name, so I think he might have been involved in this one, but I'm not 100% sure. But they dropped his name hardcore in the beginning of the trailer to just let the fans know, Clive Barker is, we know who Clive Barker is. I think it's just the message they were trying to send, but Lady Pinhead looked really good. They had this really great gravelly voice, and it might be an instance where the gender swapping might work, because all that, that sort of mentality of the androgyny and BDSM and pain and everything, like, doesn't really matter, because it's all sort of like these weird pseudosexual concepts and stuff, where, like, where gender can be androgynous and stuff, because it's all about, like, the body you're stuck in, and your soul just kind of like being tortured and shit. So I don't know, it could work. I don't know. To me, that trailer looked good. It was very promising, especially compared to all the other Hellraiser, you know, problems that we've been, subjected to, like, the direct to video stuff, and you know, the Mr. like the total just, departure from what, um, you know, what the whole Hellraiser idea was supposed to be. Um, so I don't know. I just try to. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I'm like, yeah, that looks cool. So, if it's not what it ends up being in the end, I'll be honest about it. But right now, I'm like, yo, this could be cool. Just like the Halloween Ends trailer. Uh, there were some cool things in there, but I can be critical of it. Friday the 13th reboot. I haven't really heard too much about it. Like, last thing I saw was like um Sean Cunningham saying that there's really nothing in the works, which I thought was really a weird thing to put out. Like he's either so old that he's out of the game and he doesn't really give a fuck, or he is going like ultra meta on us, or like, fucking 3D chess or something, like trying to fake us out. Or maybe he's on a gag order. I don't know. But he was like, "Oh, there's nothing in the works that I know of." I'm like, "How could there not be? Like, you've been in this like ongoing tug of war, legal tug of war for like years, where the fans have been like, just desperately hungry for Friday the 13th and Jason, and then all of a sudden it's like Friday the 13th and Jason. That's it, and then." So everything's settled, and now you're like, oh, there's nothing going on. I don't believe it. It just sounds like, either he doesn't know, or he knows and he's trying to fake us out or something. I mean, he's a smart dude. I've met him. And so I had to believe that he's playing his cards close to the chest, because it's a critical moment where they're going to be dividing up the rights for people to be making Friday the 13th and Jason stuff. So maybe he's thinking, I'll just, play my cards close to the chest to say there's nothing really going on, and then make an explosive, you know, announcement when I actually have something to show, or have people attached to something. That's just what logic and common sense dictates to me, but who knows, I would be happy getting a Friday the 13th movie that was nothing to do with Jason, but it had to do with the vibe of the first movie, and then getting a Jason movie that had nothing to do with Friday the 13th, that it was, like something better than the fan films we've been getting for the last, like, I don't know, 8 years or something. That was like Jason, I don't know, Jason, just for shits and giggles, like, Jason Resurrection, or, you know, Jason Returns Again or something. And it was like a Paramount sanctioned movie. And you had like, Sean McLaughlin come back and do a script, or, something that had something more than a fanboy boner behind it. That was like, Paramount sanctioned something, I would be like, all right, I'm down with that, but But I know it's coming, because when it comes down at the end of the day, it's all about the money. And if they can make money off it, and they've starved Friday the 13th fans for over a decade, they're gonna do it, because they'll know that first comeback movie, especially the one with Jason, will make fucking millions of dollars. If they market it right, it will. I mean, us horror fans are all over the place, and that's just the hardcore guys, and then there's like the closet fans, and then there's like the normies who know Jason and they know The Mask, and they'll go like, "Oh my god, what are you gonna do this weekend? Oh, let's go see the new Jason movie. I heard Jason was cool." You know, those people, they'll go see it. So it gonna happen. It gonna happen. Mark my words. Got somebody else jumped in here. My tube says, first account, mom Jason sees mom die killing for her son, excuse me. Jason sees mom die killing for her son. Jason sees mom die. Okay, so Jason sees his mom dying. Non-Jason, third act, Jason killing actual kids and counselors and cops that show up. Then he runs off. I like the idea of Jason seeing his mom kill, maybe as like, first Jason, like, or something like that, but Jason killing actual kids will never happen. That will never happen. It's too yeah, it'll never happen, because I think the censors won't let it happen. But and like Paramount's gonna know, or whoever's got the rights is gonna know, if we're gonna market this to the biggest, widest audience that we could possibly do to scoop up those dollars. We can't have baby killing or whatever in it, so they're not gonna do that. But the counselors are fair game. So, and then he runs off. Well, he definitely will either die or live in the end, and then they'll make a new movie where he comes back. That's the beauty of the model, is just like, it doesn't matter if he dies or lives. Doesn't matter what, he could be disintegrated. He's still, a Martian could come down and shoot him with a ray gun, and he, disintegrated. Well, then they'll make another movie where, a scientist reintegrates his, they'll think it doesn't matter, because it's so absurd at this point that that's part of the fun. So Jason lives forever, and we'll get plenty more movies, I guarantee you. Watching anything good lately? Let's see. I saw Jaws 3D. I made a special point to go out of my day to go see Jaws 3D. That's the original Jaws 3D. Original Jaws, Steven Spielberg directed in 3D, not Jaws 3D. And I was not disappointed. It was amazing. It was just really, really good. The company that translated the original print into 3D did a great job. And that movie just, it's so good. And I was there. It was me and like the middle, like I was in the middle of the middle row. So middle down, middle and, row, because that's where I like to sit. And then like 6 or 7 people in the very back row. It was like 3 adults and 4 kids. I was like, oh, this is going to be a disaster, because they're going to be crying through the whole movie. Well, no. I mean, it was like the kids didn't give a shit. They're so desensitized or whatever now. But I was like, the points of the movies that they decided to extrapolate into 3D were really well decided upon, and they did a really good job doing it, so that it was like, it wasn't exploitative 3D. It was just like, it enhanced the movie. So it wasn't like distracting when you were watching it, but it was like a whole new experience. And I was like, at the end of the movie, I was like, was really good. I liked it. It was cool because it was like a new Jaws experience. As an old fucker like me, who's been watching Jaws my whole life, it was cool to watch it and have a new take on it. And that's why I knew I had to go. I had to go see it in 3D, and it was only like 4 days in the theater at AMC, and it was awesome. And I love Steven Spielberg, and I love that movie so much. So it was really cool. Other than that, I think I watched recently. I've been watching House of the Dragons, and it's not good. Uh, it's been getting, I think, good reviews because it's being compared to the Tolkien thing going on Amazon, which I tried to watch the first episode. First of all, I'm very like I'm very hit or miss with fantasy stuff. Like it's like I don't really love like Tolkien and Lord of the Rings or anything. Like I read the books after the movies came out in the early 2000s, and I liked the movies a lot. I didn't love them. I thought they were really good. I appreciate them. I definitely appreciate them for like the amazing milestone and the epic trilogy they created. And I read the books, and I was pretty much like really bored reading the books. But I read them, so I can honestly say I have an informed opinion about that. Um, and then the Hobbit stuff came out, just terrible, really boring, but even less so than this new Amazon series. Is like I watched the first episode and it was so boring, bland. And so going from that to, Game of Thrones prequel, which is the House of Dragons. So I was really excited about that because I heard some good reviews about the first few episodes. And I had waited until the first 4 episodes came out because my girlfriend was in Paris for like 2 weeks, and we wanted to wait and watch a bunch of episodes together. So I said I would wait, and then we watched one together separately. So she was at her place, I was at mine. We watched the first. I was like, this is like really like underwhelming. I was like surprised. I was like, okay, well, it's just the initial drop of the first episode, and then we watched another 2 or 3 episodes together at my house. I mean, here at my place, right there. We watched them right there on the couch just a few days ago, and I was like, I don't get it. Like, where's the magic? Where's the creativity? It was like pedestrian, boring, like Renaissance fair shit. I was like, with like some like really bad trying to be edgelord writing shit. I was like, this is not Game of Thrones at all. I was like, this is not good. I didn't like it, but we're watching it anyway because we have HBO, and we're like, maybe it'll get better. I don't know, but it's not good. It's just competently kind of like, it's just lazy prequel stuff. It's a far cry from the original series, man, because the original series was really good. Boo, I just don't get it. Like doesn't feel like Game of Thrones to me. It feels like a show that was made for like, I don't know, like AMC or something, that was like supposed to be like a Renaissance, era show, and they just splashed a bunch of like Game of Thrones paint on it. It didn't feel like it was written with the idea of Martin stuff, which was like really interesting and dynamic, and the characters were really good, like, no, not good. Modern movies have the kids being killed on Netflix, so that is a modern various. Maybe, I don't know. I don't notice it. Maybe they do. I don't know. Uh Fear Street series has it. That's why I say that. Okay. I haven't watched all that, so I don't really know. You might be. I mean, it depends on the whole context in which children are being killed and stuff. So I can't really speak to that too much. But about the modern version of Friday when the old one couldn't. About the modern version of Friday when the old. Okay. I think that is what would give it fangs. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, culture changes, you know what I mean? And I've lived long enough to see a lot of culture change. And so maybe someday they'll be like, let's just have Jason put a machete in a 6-year-old's fucking face. I don't know. I don't really want to see that personally, but they might do it. Who knows? I don't, but I don't think it's likely. I don't think it's not part of the tradition of Friday the 13th. So, but you never know because the world is topsy turvy. Everything is upside down and backwards in a mirror. So who knows? Beer did not help my typing. Oh yeah, well, beer does not help my live streaming, but I do it anyway because I love beer, beer. I got my Grogu beer koozie. Gotta have my Bud Light. Beer. Yeah, we're beer drinkers. It is what it is, So you don't have to be typo. You don't have to be completely typewriter literate to chime in. I can read between the lines. It's fine. Have you watched Barry and Bill Hader? Oh, Barry with Bill. I like Bill Hader a lot. I think he's probably one of the last really good SNL dudes, but I haven't watched Barry yet. And it's not for any reason. I didn't look at it and say that didn't look good. It's just that we have this like corporaconia of like material, streaming shit to watch. And there's new stuff coming out every day. And I think it just got lost in the rearview mirror. And if it's that good, maybe I'll check it out. I don't know. My girlfriend says you got to watch Handmaid's Tale. And I'm really interested to check that out. So I don't know. I might go to that next, but who knows? I'm just constantly playing catch up, man, and while I'm trying to keep up with the new stuff that comes out that I really want to watch. So, my tube says, I don't watch SNL, but Barry was fun. Very, very fun. Yeah. SNL, dude, like 80s and 90s SNL was so funny. It was so good. It was like, they were just, first of all, the players on the show, like the actors and the skit actors and all that, they were just really good. And it was, not every sketch was a slam dunk, but the show all overall was like, it was on fire. Like SNL, shit, sorry. Unplugged my headphones. SNL in the 90s was the fucking shit, in the 80s too. And I grew up like, you have to understand, like I'm 45, right? So sorry. Fucked all my shit up. Okay, so for me, can you guys still hear me? Just say yes in the chats if you can hear me. Because I think I pulled something out by accident. And I might have, okay, let me see if I can find it. Oh. All it matters is if you can hear. Can you hear me? So yeah, 80s and 90s SNL was amazing, and it was all the cultural rage and everything. You had Dana Carvey, you had shit, fucking I don't know, I fucking think of their names, man. All the great ones, all the greats. Chris Farley, Rob Schneider, fucking all of those guys were fucking amazing. They were really good. And and the writing on the show especially was good. So you had the talent and the writing, and they were coming together, they were smashing together, and it was really competitive. And Kevin Nealon, loved him. They had a variety of different types of people, and that were like, some were dry, some were like, look at Kevin Nealon, and then you look at Chris Farley. They were so different, and so there was a lot of variety on the show, and it was just about, people, really, their personalities and their comedy sensibilities and stuff. So the comedy sensibilities, and they all came together in this like beautiful thing where they could have different sketches. Adam Sandler, just, they were all just played off each other in this really beautiful way. And then something happened going into the 2000s. Jimmy Fallon was kind of the end of that. Fallon was really good on SNL. Horatio Sands was still really good. There were other people. Kristen Wiig, I thought, was probably one of the last, but then something happened and it just got taken over, and it got really bland and dumb. And it was like every skit they started to do started becoming just like these like really wackadoodle sketches that were like made no sense, and there was no real creative thought or writer chops behind it, like where like there was some real intelligence behind the jokes and stuff. It was like like wacky, zany, make you feel cringe and uncomfortable laughs kind of thing. And it was just really a lot of dead air and cringe and just real bad. And then I just got the fuck out. I was like, I cannot watch. It's like, it was so brutal. When I was growing up, like my mom, which she'd be like, she'd let me stay up after midnight, on Saturday night to watch SNL with her. And, that was like a ritual. It was like, it was like a really great thing where we had laughs together and stuff. And now it's just so terrible that you could not pay me to watch SNL. It's so bad. That the comedy is just gone. There was the original SNL did real good, and there was a drop off, and then there was a renaissance 80s and 90s, and now it's in another, it's just bankrupt. It's just terrible. Really, really bad. So I don't watch it. Fuck that. You know what I'm saying? But I would like to watch Barry. I mean, if it's good, man, I'll check it out. And I really think that Bill Hader is really good. He's talented. He does great impressions, and he's funny. So there's a real talent there. But Brendan Fraser is making a comeback. His new film, The Whale, looks great. I saw some chattering on the internets about Fraser. Did a movie that kind of got him some notoriety, and they were doing some like, standing O's for him and stuff. And that was really cool to see, because I feel like he got shit on. He had a bad couple decades, I think, with some like marital problems and stuff like that, and financial problems. And he kind of, his handsome swashbuckling looks melted away over that course of time, and then now he's having a second go at it, and I hope it works out for him, because for all what I can tell, he was a good guy who did good movies, and was a leading hero in the 90s. And anything can happen, man. I mean, look what happened. When I hear about Brendan Fraser, I think about John Travolta, who had taken over the fucking world, TV and movies, and then he fucking shit the bed and became out of fashion. And Quentin Tarantino came along and brought him back for Pulp Fiction and made him a fucking overnight sensation again. I mean, it was like taking what was not cool and making it cool. And he had a huge second career after that. So who knows? Maybe Brendan Fraser could come back and kick some ass, take some names, and I would love to see it, because it seems like the guy is just really nice and had a bad go at it for a couple of years. And that's a good life lesson to say that, like, you can have a really bad run and you never know. You could turn it around if you just fucking looking for that opportunity and believe in yourself. So I like to hear that, it makes me feel like there's some hope in the world, Um, my tube says, I guess Friday the 13th with kid killings would be like Nightmare on Elm Street with the child killings, just pain. Nothing fun or exciting. Just here's the thing, man. This is where you and I differ, and I definitely respect your opinion and all that. Like, you have your opinions about Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and Michael and all that. Where I differ is that, like, outside of the first fucking movie, I think, like, Jason is like Jason, Michael, Freddy, especially Jason and Freddy. Michael, you could argue a different angle in court over that one, but I would say Jason and Freddy definitely. There is a camp element that's like, I'm not saying like a literal camp, like pitching a tent or whatever, like a campy like vibe, meaning like tongue in cheek, kind of funny. That's really crucial to those movies being good. It's the killer, the kills, the campiness, which is the vibe, and you got to have the music. You got to have Harry Manfredini. If you can put those four elements together, you got a fucking successful Friday the 13th movie. So, you know, for all those rooting for a darker, grittier Jason, whatever, I'd go watch it. But what I want to see is the silly Jason. It's just kind of the 80s tongue in cheek camp vibe that I grew up watching marathons on AMC. You know what I mean? But, they're going to make what they're going to make. And, the Friday the 13th remake movie kind of straddled that line, dude, where it was like funny and very dark and like really mean. It was like, oh, my sister's been murdered. I'm looking for her. And then he finds her. She's still alive, but she gets murdered. I mean, it's a fucking mean movie. And it's, that's not really what Friday the 13th is. So, but I like that one okay, but um he goes on to say, I guess my Friday new ideas was mom first act was her vengeance. Yes, that's correct. Jason didn't drown. Well, Jason did drown. That's why mom had her first vengeance. His brother did. Okay. But Jason saw her die. Second act, he kills counselors. Third act, cops are called and get killed, escape. Write a script, man. I don't know. But I think that the more convoluted that an idea like Friday the 13th gets, the worse it gets. I think it should, like, obviously, like Jason X, and especially the most recent one, Jason Goes to Hell. Not technically, I guess it would be Jason and Freddy versus Freddy, but Jason Goes to Hell. That movie was so convoluted and weird and off the rails and just breaking the mold and just sniffing its own farts and shit. Like, it crashed and burned so bad. It was just overly. It was like they psyched themselves out and made a terrible movie, basically. So I think really what you got to do, it's people overthink. It's like they go, oh, we need to see Jason in the snow. Like, what difference is that going to fucking make? Like, people obsessed over that. Jason in the snow, Jason in the snow. And eventually somebody made a fucking fan movie of Jason in the snow. The trick is this. You have to get Jason perfect. He's got to be the right era of Jason, which would be basically any version of Jason, some amalgamation of Jason from 3 until 6, somewhere, maybe even 7. Mix them all up. Because you got to have the right actor with the right body language, and you got to have the right mask, the makeups. You get that right, that's 90% of the game. Then you got to have inventive, fun kills that you don't see coming. If you can get that, that's another big part of the pie. And then you got to have the music, and then you have the vibe, and you have the marketing, and then you got a good Friday the 13th movie. It's simple. People don't want you to fucking change shit that much. They want you to just deviate enough to make it interesting, but they don't want you to change the formula because they don't want you to change what makes it work. And it's like, it barely works. All those movies barely worked. That's why I love like part 5, New Blood. Or not, sorry, part 5. What is it? Friday the 13th, part 5. New Blood, right? New Blood is 7. I'm having a mental fart here. Part 5. The one where they have Roy Jason. That one barely squeaks by, but you know what? They made it a fucking fun movie. They made it awesome. And so people accept Roy Jason, and they did a different take, but they, I know it gets a backlash, believe me, I know, but I love that fucking movie because it kicks ass. Who was it that said, I think it was like Kurt Cobain said, like, it doesn't matter how bad it is, how bad the quality is. All it matters is that you put your heart into it and that it fucking rocks. And that's just so true about anything, And then people will accept those changes as long as it fucking rocks. They'll fucking accept it. But what happens is let's get a little part A, a little part B, let's get a little C, D. Let's and then we'll gloss it over this coat. There's no heart in it, They just fucking they try to formulate shit like a chemist, and it sucks because there's no heart in it. Like, one of the reasons why part 5 was awesome was because they got some porn director to do it, and he said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do whatever I want." What did you think of Alice, Sweet Alice? It's one of my favorites. Also, ever see Possession with Sam Neill? It'll break your heart. That's from Blocks O Modern. My BML. Oops. I'm gonna have to edit that out. BML. Yeah. So Alice, Sweet Alice is a late 70s proto slasher, and I view it through that lens. So it's long-winded, and it's a slow burn, but it's an acquired taste. You know what I mean? You can't go from like Swiss cheese to Lindbergh. You have to work your way backwards and get an acquired taste to that really stinky cheese. And that's what Sweet Alice is for me. So Alice, Sweet Alice. It's good, but it takes a while to acclimatize to a proto slasher like that. Possession with Sam Neill I haven't seen yet, but I will maybe put it on my list. Thank you. I am mixing 1 and 2 and then 6. I think we actually agree. Okay. I would love to see that movie, man. If we're on the same page, then it sounds like a good thing to me, because I love 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 2, and 6 a lot. So, could be good. My tube says, I'm just saying, the way Jason isn't supernatural. His brother dies, then just same old Jason, camp killing. So you're making a case for pre-zombie Jason, pre-supernatural Jason, which I think is a great case, because I would like to see that too. You don't have to be invincible. I like the idea that Jason is almost mortal in the way. And, I liked some of the scenes in the earlier movies where he was cowering from getting retaliated against and stuff. So, it could work, I would be into that idea. Oh, New Beginning. Thank you. New Beginning. I cannot believe I forgot. Friday the 13th, part 5, A New Beginning is what I meant to say. Getting old sucks, dude. Your memory starts to shit out everywhere, Let's see. I am moving to remove all supernatural stuff. Mom, 2 sons, 1 kills. Maybe streamlining it down to a simple concept is the way to go. I'm. They did that with the reboot, I think. But I would be down to see that. I would be down to see either way. But I mean, I actually like Jason X, so I don't know. As long as it's interesting and fun and well written, some good scenes in there. I mean, I'm not expecting a lot here. So, just give me fun, give me fun. I want to be entertained, you know. Savage Block Osmonitor says Savage Streets director. Yes. Um Friday 3 will always have a special place in my heart. It was my introduction to the series. Yeah, man. Part 3, that's different for me because like for me it was part 5 because it was 85 and so I would have been 8 and so I was just being introduced to whatever, you know, my friends and I could get our hands on. We were swapping out tapes and this and that and the other thing, and then so part 3 I didn't get because I was probably already kind of used to Jason Lives and stuff. Part 5, 6, and 7. Part 3 was like just I didn't get it. I mean, especially like part 1 and 2, like Friday, and then part 2. I was like, what? I was like, I don't even. These aren't even the same fucking like franchise. Like, where's Jason? I didn't get it. You know what I mean? Like, I was like into the fucking marketing of Jason. I wanted to see Jason. I didn't want to see Pam, Lori. I didn't care. I didn't know what a slasher was. I just wanted to see the icon. You know what I mean? I was part of the 80s generation. So I wanted to see, you know, iconic, the best of the best things. So I wasn't trying to go backwards and fucking see Pam Voorhees kill somebody. Um, to me, that was like regressive. I would want to see what Jason was going to do next. Uh, I saw 3 live with the 3D glasses. Saw 3D. That's cool, man. That would have been fun. I'll try to see anything 3D if I can these days. What I missed out on when it came out was the Phantom Menace 3D. They did a release, I think like 10 years ago or something, or maybe 9 years ago. I was like, I'm gonna go see that, and then it was in the theater shorter than I thought it was gonna be, and I missed it. I was like, oh man, I really regret not seeing Phantom Menace 3D in the theater because it seemed like that movie especially would be awesome in 3D. And I saw that movie in 1999 opening night when it came out with my friends in college. So it would have been the second time I'd seen it in theater and 3D, and I fucked up and missed it, and I regret that big time. So um we need fun horror and we need horror that crushes us. So it's a mix of needs. Yeah, I mean, I agree, dude. I tend to lean towards fun horror versus like mean, like like gore porn, like I'll watch those movies and stuff, but but where I really enjoy horror is like the fun stuff, the stupid, giddy, goofy, that kind of stuff I like because it's kind of more like maybe my love really lies with Halloween, and I love the jovialness and sort of like, laughs and fun versus like being disturbed by seeing somebody be disemboweled or something. Um, where it's just like, what's that movie like Touristas where like the people go to Hawaii or something and they're like they're like vital organs are harvested while they're awake and shit. It's like it makes you like nauseated. You're like, I, I just I mean, it's like, oh shit, that's twisted and it's a shock thing, but I don't really have fun with it. It's like it makes me upset. It's kind of gross, because I don't like to see people suffer. I just like to watch fun, gory horror, goofy stuff, like campy stuff. I guess when we saw things and attached to them, yeah, Absolutely, dude. Like my friends Aaron and Zach, who have the Revival House Network podcast slash YouTube channel. I love them. They're good friends of mine, but they love '90s stuff. They're like their '90s is my '80s. So they're attached to all kinds of stuff in the '90s that I could not give a fuck about at all, dude. Yeah, but they love it. It's because it's like when they were fucking shitting their fucking diapers in front of the TV with their mom, fucking cooking mac and cheese in the background. They were like, that was like burrowing their what that its way into their fucking deep, deep mind. They love like Biodome and Pauly Shore movies and shit. And I respect it, man. I'm like, hey, I get it. Your '90s is my '80s or whatever. So fucking more power to you. I can kind of see the appeal because some '90s shit's fun, but a lot of it doesn't do anything for me. So I kind of I'm like, yeah. It was like for me, it was like a lot of '90s stuff, like after '92, '93, because stuff bleeds over from the '90s, so from the '80s. So some of the early '90s shit's good, but when you get into the heart of the '90s, where there was a real cultural change, there's a like I'm disconnected. I was in high school trying to meet girls and be cool, so I just wasn't into pop culture that much. I was like, Kurt Cobain died, and I'm just trying to round third base. That was basically my life. So, my faves are Halloween, Return of the Living Dead, but I also need Maniac. Yeah, obviously Halloween and Return of the Dead, very, very different movies. I mean, you couldn't get more different movies, but they exist in the same they exist in the same world of awesomeness for sure, because they were both like, well, Halloween's 80s. It's a typical, if you want to be technical about it, it's a pro slasher. Return of the Living Dead is just all bloated sort of like indulgence by the director and just going hog wild and just making zombie movies as crazy as possible, which is amazing. I love that movie. Maniac, and that's the thing. Like I really like Maniac though, because it's just such it's an intelligent movie because it delves into the psychology of a disturbed person, and there had never been a movie done like that before. Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer is almost a copy of that movie. I feel like it's just Maniac, you got the Savini head explosion. It's just, I can like a dark movie, but something about it's weird because like the original Maniac is more like it's a scoping of like a disturbed person's mentality and stuff, and it's like more of an earnest movie than say like Hostile is, where it's just like Hostile is where it's just disemboweling people for shock value. So I have a more legitimate appreciation of the filmmaking and the daring that the director slash actor Spinelli took with that whole direction, which was a risk. And he made it fucking believable, and it's very lo-fi and fucking creepy and shit. I guess if it has real artistic vision, if you look at like Eli Roth, who did the Hostel movies and stuff, like and all his Green Inferno, they're all like, I'm a huge horror fan, and I'm gonna prove I'm a huge horror fan by being extremely derivative, just basically channeling those movies into a new version, of what I like. I'm just what it. It is what it is. It's not groundbreaking, but it's a whatever. It's a ticket seller. Something like Maniac, it has real earnest vision. It was like the guy was really going for something. So I definitely respect that and enjoy watching it much more, because it what it does is it interests my filmmaker brain, as well as my, horror brain. And so I give it way more credit than something like those other movies. So I think some newer filmmakers are a bit misguided by, you know, they're kind of really obsessed with the you know the shiny dangling thing, the baby rattle of the movie, which is the high points, like the most memorable things, but they don't understand the motives and the story behind what makes those movies good. So, what they do is end up making a more shallow, quick Burger King version of it. Um, you ever see Soul Man with C. Thomas Howell? Yeah. So it's an '80s movie. C. Thomas Howell, who's been in all kinds of movies. He's probably best known for The Outsiders, E.T. Great actor. I've never met him or anything, but he's a good actor. Really big in the '80s, and he did this movie. I think it was early '90s called Soul Man, where he basically it was just blackface on parade. It was just head to toe fucking melatonin. It was just this guy who wanted to get into a black college or something, and he just fucking did himself up in black makeup. And I know I saw it back then, and I don't even really remember the movie that much. And I know that people probably don't like it, but I don't really have an opinion on it. 100% agree about horror to enjoy and horror to look into humans' reality. Yeah. I mean, yeah, man. Once you find a good movie that really sketches out the darker recesses of someone's reptilian brain that causes them to do crazy shit, and it's wrapped up in a good movie, you're like, that was fucking good, because it has like you understand that the writer and the director had some understanding of the material, and it wasn't just, oh, let's have a shock value scene here. It's like they really went for something. They wrote scenes. You'll find that you go back and watch those movies, they have scenes that don't have any killing in them, that are like really dark and like connect with you because you see that they're trying to outline and illustrate disturbed mental processes and stuff like that. So a lot of modern movies that try to pretend they're like that don't have those essential elements in them. They just have the surface shit, and you're like, I didn't like it. Why not? Because it's just a fucking bullshit movie. That's why. Make sure, we got a new guy in here, a name that isn't just the. Make sure everyone goes to bed sometime. I'm going to sleep. Okay. Hey, everybody, go to bed at some point in your life. I guess I was a troll. I don't know. Might not be well made, but I think the intention was opposite. It's like, I don't know. Why is like the original, let me think. Get a good example here. Fucking Sam Raimi early fucking shit. Help me out here, guys. Sam Raimi's first movie. What's it called? Fucking Bruce Campbell. I can't think of the name of it. I don't know why. Anyway, they released a fucking, they did a different version of it, and it's gonna come to me. I'm just trying too hard to think of it. But it's in there somewhere. But they did a remake of it that was really its own thing, but it really didn't have the, it didn't have really what made that first original version or the second movie, which was a remake, dead. I almost had it for a second. The second movie, which was like almost a remake of the first one, that Sam Raimi was like, okay, now we got money, we're going to redo this and make it better, but we're going to call it a sequel. Those movies are so good because they have real creative genius behind them. And then they release the fucking remake of it, and it's all nasty, gory, dark, mean, gross. And I mean, I guess it kind of achieves something and on that and those elements alone, but it don't touch the original two, man. It just don't touch. It doesn't even come close. Um, you know, because it's the writing, it's the art, the director's vision that makes it really fucking good. You know what I mean? Um, so you know, that's what they continue to do with movies nowadays. They take something old and they try to fucking rape it and fucking cheapen it up and spew it out, and they'll go, "Oh, my dad talked about this movie. Maybe I'll go see it. I've heard its name before," or they'll just milk it from the original fans or something. Evil Dead, yes, thank you. I can't believe. Oh, that's brutal, dude. That's gonna haunt me for days. I couldn't remember that. I'm tired. I am tired tonight. Yeah, Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2. Just incredible fucking different movies of its own design and vision and everything. And Sam Raimi was fucking hungry for it. And Bruce Campbell was awesome and just weird and just fucking out there and shit. And then you see the remake Evil Dead, and it's like, okay, it's got some merits, but it's just like it's just nothing. It's just demonic, where it doesn't have any of the other elements. And it's like that whole era where they're just let's make it dark and gritty. Let's take all the fun out of it. Make it dark and we'll just scare the shit out. We're going to scare people and disturb them into thinking that this is a masterpiece. And what it is just, I think, a Burger King version of the original movie, Yeah, but thank you for helping my memory out. I would have thought of it probably in 5 minutes, but I just couldn't at the moment. But one good modern filmmaker is S. Craig Zahler. Bone, yeah. Well, see, my problem with Bone Tomahawk was the pacing, because I actually liked that movie, but it was just so fucking slow. I mean, it's a slow burn. So, I mean, and then it just goes into fucking like hyper mode. Like it just gets real good and real engaging in the last third of it. And it's brutal. I mean, it's fucking brutal. Kudos to fucking fucking Mr. Backdraft there, fucking doing that movie, because he gets fucking his ass handed to him at the end of the movie. Kurt Russell. I liked it, but I don't, shit. I'm not. If I was scrolling through fucking cable and it came on, I'd watch it, but I wouldn't. I'm not trying to watch it. I'd probably look up a YouTube video of just that one fucked up scene. But Soul Block 99, really good. I liked Soul Block 99. It had a unique vision to it. It was a good filmmaking thing. It was a stretch for Vince Vaughn, so I really thought it was an interesting, like, they took a chance on Soul Block 99. I thought it was cool. And also Dragged Across Country, which was kind of like almost like a sequel to that movie or something. I remember me and my horror buddies were talking about those movies when they came out. We're like, this shit's awesome, because it was like fucking balls to the wall, just fucked up. And I thought it was cool. Vince Vaughn was like, like breaking out of his, his mold to do something different and stuff. So that was cool. But yeah, some good examples, man. Whatever I say is not fucking, I'm not saying it's gospel truth. It's just my opinion, I love to see something that comes out and it just fucking shatters my expectations of like what it's supposed to be. And not in like a Ryan Johnson way, but in like an earnest, real way, like something, that it has to have, it needs to be inspired. It needs to come from a creative place. It's like if the The problem is that if you take these old IPs, these old properties, and you want to make new movies with them, what happens is the studios control the shit. They choke it to death. And a lot of times they hire directors that will do their bidding and stuff. So there's no creative vision. There's no difference, whatever. There's no dividing yourself away from the mainstream. It's just, let's just figure out how to package this shit IP that people seem to love. We don't know why. We don't get it. Let's package it in a way that's going to give them a little what they want and be modern. And then what you get is like this like diluted tea, boring bullshit version of something. And it sucks. It's basically what Star Wars is now. You know, it's just Andor. Fuck Andor. I don't want to fuck. Like, I don't give a shit, really. I just don't want to watch it, you know? So I know, I think that what their Hellraiser looks like, it could be interesting because they seem to, because, well, I guess mainly the real reason why I'm interested to see that is because, I mean, let's be honest, Hellraiser franchise has been prostituted out on fucking, in an alley in Kansas City. I mean, it's not even been like a fucking sun strip, LA fucking hooker alley. It's been like the worst of the worst, fucking like just pimped out to fucking garbage. You know what I mean? Which is just a shame. And it's just because, again, people don't understand the content. They don't understand the origin. They don't understand what it's supposed to be. And I admit, if you look at something like Hellraiser, that's really, really hard to figure out. That's why the original movie was so genius. And even the second movie is just not that good, but it's not that bad either. But then after that, the third movie, yeah, okay, fine. After that, it's just been like, it just got trafficked into the worst lanes of fucking movie making. And then it's just been all fucking diarrhea, just terrible. And so when I see the new trailer, I'm like, that looks like they got somebody involved that knows something about the subject matter. So even if they're gonna gender swap out Pinhead, I don't like, it doesn't matter to me as long as they got the writing. The writing is really the contextual interlaces of the characters that it really like, sort of like, what's that word, like sort of nuanced, which is like that Hellraiser stuff has got to be nuanced perfectly between, like people who are trying to be normal people and sinners, and sexual desire, and evil versus good, and seduction, and just like this, the bizarre, and like, weird designs, and kink and all this weird stuff. It's a very delicate mix. And I gotta get this. They have been fucking in that. They don't get it. The people have been making fucking Hellraiser. They don't get it, and so they need to learn to, have that really beautiful sort of like, ballet of like all these really delicate human condition things mixed with like the gross, nasty, darkest recesses of the human condition and stuff, and fears of like, heaven and hell and stuff. And it's like the stuff that's deepest buried in our brains that, haunts us at night, kind of thing. That's why it's so good. And it's not just, shock value stuff. So it looked to me like they could be on to something, but trailers can be very misleading. So yeah, I saw Black Phone. I thought it was good. I thought it was just like another. It's like another. Okay, so my thought on Black Phone was it was good, and they, instead of making it 80s, they made it 70s. Okay, so it's still retro, which was, I think, probably a producer going, look, nobody gives a shit about today's modern, we have to give it that sort of like retro vibe. And then they were like, I don't want to do 80s because we've done 80s. 80s is 80s. It's all over 80s. All right, we'll do 70s. So they agreed on 70s. And then, I feel like, okay, I thought it was well written. And I was definitely interested in the movie the whole time through. So that's good. But I felt like it was just another puppy mill movie where but it just happened to be a good one. So it was like, they make a lot of these movies. They kind of have this like theme. They all have these elements in them, and most of them are pretty bad. But this one actually tended to be kind of good, where it had a good element of like suspense in it, but everything else was really kind of boring and bland, and not. I just thought it was pretty good. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was bad. I just thought it was. I was entertained, but I'll never think about watching that movie again unless it's to review it or something. But it's just another one in a assembly line of movies, and this one just happened to be better than the other ones. And I like Ethan Hawke, so that's why they put him in there, was to help the movie out. Yeah, you're talking about the new Hellraiser. Yeah, I'm hoping it's good too, man. It would be very, very good for the horror fan community if we had a good Hellraiser series or movies or whatever we get. I don't care what it is. It would be good for the actors. It would be good for Clive Barker. It would be good for everybody, I mean, it would be good for the convention scene. I mean, it would sell merchandise, like it would be awesome. I mean, dude, I love the original Hellraiser movie. And I got Doug Bradley just signed a Hellraiser poster for me to Josh. I'll tear your soul apart. And that was like amazing. I fucking love him. I love his book reading of Mary Shelley on his YouTube. It's awesome. I love it. It's just like, but we just don't get enough good Hellraiser. So it's like, believe me, dude, I'm like, please be good. Please be good. Please be competent. Please just get the subject matter. I just finished the first season of Chucky from Sci-Fi, and then they moved it to Hulu or whatever. They got it, dude. They got Chucky. Awesome. It was like really good. I liked it. It was really good. I'm looking forward to season 2 of Chucky because they got it. They got what Chucky was supposed to be about. And it was fun. It was stupid. And it was goofy. And it had drama. And they brought back some old characters. And they got the puppets really perfect. And it was like just stupid and gory and absurd. And, just they had all the elements of Chucky in there. And so I'm like, if they can do it for Chucky, they can do it for Hellraiser. Although Pinhead and the Cenobites and Hellraiser and all that, that's way more nuanced than Chucky is. So it's harder to do, but it gave me hope, So I'm looking forward to season 2 of Chucky for sure. I swear we need fans of great writers instead of film lovers. I think they're out there, dude. I think there's a lot of horror fans when I go to conventions that I can tell read the books, dude. It's just that there's no real way for them to express that they fucking read the books, because it's all about the movies. So I think that you might be wrong there, that a lot of people read the books, but I don't read a lot of books personally. I have a hard time. I can read a book. Don't get me wrong. I'm not illiterate, but it's just that I have a really hard time reading, like staying focused on a page and getting into you have to catch a wave where you read about 20, 30, 40 pages in a night. And that's really hard for me because I have a wandering mind. So it's really because I want to enjoy a book in the theater of the mind because I know it's so much better, but it's hard for me And it's really frustrating for me. So I've read a lot of books, but I've kind of given up in the last like 10 years. I haven't read a lot of books, but you know, maybe I've always wanted to read. There's a few books out there I've always really wanted to read. And one of them is Clive Barker's his whole thing. I've wanted to do Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which I started once. I have a copy, but it's so in the dialect of the era that it makes it hard for me to read. And there's some others out there that, I'd like to read, but I have an interest in it, but I just, the time and the frustration, um, on my channel, I actually did a, audio book for The Outsiders, like 3 years ago. I did a complete reading, audio only, complete reading of The Outsiders because it's one of my all-time favorite books, and I did it for my mom for her birthday, so that she could, when she misses me, she could listen to it and hear me do the voices and I read the book. And that took, that's like a youth book, and it took me, man, like a month of just every night sitting down with the microphone and just getting through a few pages of me, like just getting it, like making sure it sounded good. Like I worked really hard on that, and I'm glad I did it because it was an amazing experience. Because who does like an audio book for no reason? But I did it, and it's there if you want to go listen to it. I do all the voices, and it's faithful, word for word rendition of The Outsiders by S.H. Hinton. And I absolutely love that fucking book. So, go check it out. If you got a few nights and you're bored, you can listen to me read it to you. Clive Barker told me the best actor in his movies was Cronenberg. Yeah, well, it makes sense because those guys are birds of a feather. They're both extremely, they're weird dudes. They live on the fringe of society. They have a really unique view on the world. So that would make total sense to me. It doesn't shock me one bit. I am bored with modern writers. Not complaining. I just mean a deep books, creative writers movie. There aren't as many as there were. Yeah. They need to come back, dude. We need to. I think what you're really looking at, what you're really thinking about, is we want inspired films that come from somebody who has. Look, dude. Where's our modern day Tolkien? Where's our modern day Clive Barker? Where's our modern day Stephen King? You know what I mean? We're all those guys were epic, and they really made a difference in the world with their fantasy and their ability to write stories. And we don't. Where are they? We had like a little like wave of like Dan Brown, with his fantasy religious books. What were they called? Like Dan Brown did. I don't know, whatever they were big. I'm like pulling up Joe Biden here. They were really big in the early 2000s. So there were like writers that were really influencing, that were making books that were top sellers, that were influencing movies and stuff. But it's kind of like died down, where the modern era right now is like, let's just remake everything from the old days because that's what people. We don't have anybody writing anything good. Like there was obviously like Harry Potter, that in the early 2000s, and like J.K. Rowling was brilliant. She wrote this whole world, and like that was like one of the last big blockbuster franchises. Somebody had some like genius moment where they wrote a whole world that the whole world like fell in love with, right? Like what was the most recent thing that you can think of that somebody did that? They don't like create, like, unfortunately, from my point of view, in my shitty little desk chair here in my shitty little apartment in New Jersey, is that we're creatively bankrupt. And I think that because there's not a lot of incentive there, because most studios just remake shit now, especially the big studios, nobody's writing anything because they don't really think that they'll get made in anything. I guess maybe you could make an argument for The Walking Dead, which was, Kirkman wrote all those books and then they made it into a big TV series and stuff. That was a really popular thing. That was, early 2000s to early 2010s. People just the studios just remake shit because they fucking are lazy, or they don't really want to take a chance on anybody who's written anything that's just like bombastically awesome, unless it's like some killer comic book that they know they have a nerd fan base built into, that they'll give them a fucking, a shoe in the door. I mean, look at fucking Jaws, Peter Benchley's Jaws, and fucking Spielberg turned that into one of the most amazing movies of all fucking time. That's one of the books I want to read. Maybe I'll read that. Maybe I'll do an audiobook and make that a thing. Peter Benchley's Jaws. I've never read it before. And, fucking Spielberg turned that into the first blockbuster that ever existed in the United States of America. And it's so beloved that they just released it in 3D recently. You know what I mean? Like, that's just one book, Yeah, money isn't there for the readers. I mean, I guess there is a money to be made in the publishing industry. I mean, there definitely is. But I think it's on a downturn right now. Like, I mean, Harry Potter, probably that series of books was like juggernaut, so big. But then there was, what was the fucking dollar store version of that came later? Like the Katniss, what was that one with the girl with the bow and arrow? It was kind of like fantasy, female empowerment books that came out. That was really popular. They made movies after that. But after that, I can't really think of what was really big, in terms of like novels and stuff. Yeah, Chuck. Yeah. Yeah. He's good, but he's been around for a long time, man. Like, greater than, what is it? Something more bizarre than, greater than fiction, or more bizarre than fiction, stranger than fiction. Yeah, he's got, also, Fight Club, brilliant. Fucking, but that was like in the 90s, dude. It's like, because, I mean, fucking Fight Club is amazing, dude. Incredible. You get the Pixie soundtrack. I mean, that movie is so good, so well acted. It's so unique, Ed Norton, Brad Pitt, Helena Bonham Carter, just everything about that movie just fucking kicks ass, I haven't read the book, but I can imagine it's got to be somewhat connected to the book if it's that good. Just awesome. Maybe, look, the best that we can hope for, boys, is that, and ladies, is that like there'll be a new renaissance, a new creative renaissance, where all these like Avengers movies and Disney remakes of the old animated movies and all this boring shit, the bad Star Wars movies, all the crap, is going to raise a generation of people who are going to be completely alienated by that. And they're going to go, you know what? I'm going to create my own world of some crazy shit. And then a few decades from now, they'll come out with books and they'll make movies, and there'll be a whole new renaissance of creativity where the books will be great and the art will be great and the movies will be great, and and we'll be able to be happy again. But right now, unfortunately, we're stuck with a bunch of fucking stale farts, misfires, and fucking cinematic garbage. IMO, the 80s were huge for writers of fiction. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, and like, writers in the 80s were very, like, they were rock stars too, dude. I mean, look at Stephen King. Holy shit. I mean, he's a an extreme example, but writers were really, heralded as like, these brilliant people, and not only in like books, but like journals and newspapers and periodicals, and like you could really be a fucking huge rock star as a writer. Rolling Stone magazine, dude. I mean, look at Almost Famous. You know, that whole movie's based off being a fucking writer in the 60s or 70s or whatever, and just being a, you know, like you had if you had the ability to observe life and give that your audience the experience in some profound way, like you were a fucking rock star. And now it's like now everybody's a hack, you know? It's just like the most hacky bullshit fucking thing ever, to be a writer for some online blog, or, you know, even like the New York Times and shit. It's like, it's just, you're just a fucking joke. Um, yeah, man. I want some newness too, bro. I want, you know, we're all starved for it. Um, I thought They Them was really good. Like I was surprised because I was expecting it to be really preachy, and like I was expecting it to be really like admonishing of a certain type of person, because that's a lot what a lot of, like, you know, modern writing is about raising up one group and like putting the boot on the neck of another one and going, okay, it's our turn now. And so I was really surprised at how well that show was written. I was like really compelled by it. It was, you know, and not that Kevin Bacon has a big role in the movie, but, you know, it was cool to see him on screen. But I was like, look, you know, they, them, it's about a bunch of people trying to fit into modern society with whatever identities they have. And I know you're like, oh, grown, like identities and shit, but they wrote it from a really cool humanistic point of view, where it wasn't necessarily like a big soapbox preach job, and it was like, we're going to show people that these people are people and they're going through this like fucked up situation and stuff. And like I was actually like relating to the characters and stuff. I was like, this is actually a pretty good movie. I was surprised. I actually liked it better than Black Phone. I was like, because I watched them both on the same week, and I was like, you know, Black Phone, I was like, okay, that's good. This guy, it wasn't terrible. It's like I was into it. And I was actually like kind of like I was like following They Them. I was intrigued because I could see there was somebody wrote something in there that I thought was really good, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And so I liked it because I was like, kudos for doing something really good, for writing something that had some heart to it, that wasn't just your typical fucking modern day blather or whatever, you know. So you never know. Just keep trying stuff out, you know. I mean, life is a pendulum. It swings back and forth, and you know, for some people the pendulum's up here and it's great and we hate it, and for other people when it goes back down this way, it'll be great for us and they'll be upset. I don't know, whatever. But you can't deny 80s movies were fucking like 80s and 90s movies fucking kicked ass, dude. You know, I mean, go back and watch fucking Porky's. Go back and watch fucking Weird Science. Like we'll never see those kind of movies again in our lifetime. You know, never. I mean, I think it's just those days are gone, and it's really funny to go back and watch them. And you know, you can see it for this like ultra high gloss sheen of like sexism and fucking whatever is dated, but the undercurrent, the whole, it was an inspired story with some weird shit, and people were free and they made movies that they wanted to make, and it was like fun. You know, it was fun. I really want young people to break my brain. One thing I've learned, dude, as I get older is that life, you cannot predict what's going to happen next. So I think there was a line from a movie with, what was it called? Drawing a blank of the name of the movie, but I remember discussing this with my mom because my mom was going through a really hard time in her life. And I remember the line from the movie where the actor says to his mom, she's like, it's not supposed to be this way. And he goes, Mom, it's not supposed to be like anything, you know? Which is, I think, really true. It's like life is going to happen. It's going to not be the way that you thought it was going to be. It's going to, like, I never thought in a million years, 80s, 90s, 2000s, that we'd be in the situation that we are now with the way culture is changing and the way the world has changed and everything. Never thought in a million years we'd be sitting here contemplating the things that we are now, but here we are. And life is really strange and unpredictable. And I think that you're doing yourself a disservice if you're expecting everything to follow a channel, a path in life, you know? So I think it actually a good thing to keep your mind open because you never know. Doesn't mean you have to like everything that fucking hits you in the face. It just means keep an open mind. You know, if something's more different than you expected it to be, that it's just life happening to you. And that, you know, you remember when you were like, 18 and your grandpa's like, "Oh, I don't like it. I don't get it." And then you have to have that moment where you're like, I'm turning into that because life is changing and I don't like it. And I'm turning into the, "Hey, get off my lawn. Hey, I don't like it. I want to listen to Glenn Miller Band my whole life." You know, it's just, you have to keep a little bit of an open mind to things changing beyond what you're, and very like significant ways. You have to have an open mind to things changing a lot. And if you want to stay young at heart, you have to have keep that mind open a little bit. Don't be so rigid. But some shit, it's just fucking whack. You know, you go, "Oh, that's just fucking ridiculous." And my old man voice fucked me up. One second. Oh my god. Remind me to never do that again. I will say this. I think the same pendulum will allow people to have fun with their preconceptions to be just as outrageous and free as they'll. Yeah. Eventually it'll come back around. So all the authoritarian cancellation cocksuckers that fucking hate people being happy and having laughs and being offensive and having a good time doing it will eventually be the ones shitting in their diapers going, "I don't like it," and just shaking their hand at their iPad or whatever. And like people just be like using them as an example to make fun of in films and just shitting all over their nose rings and purple hair. Because that's human nature. It goes one way and then comes back the other. So right now, you know, everybody's ideas become outdated eventually. But funny is funny, but being free is the best feeling in the world. So I'm like, hey, if you're going to try to shut down people expressing themselves with their art and their jokes and shit, fuck you. Eat shit, you're a fucking, you're a fucking drag, dude. I know that you have your fucking Ramon shirt on and your fucking pink hair and your, fucking nose ring, but you're a fucking drag. So shut the fuck up and let us laugh while we're still fucking alive. All right. Dino's here. What's up, Dino? How you doing, buddy? I've been tracking you slowly. I mean, like fucking every day you're doing something new, man. So I'm kind of getting hit with a wave of fucking lately horse show. But you're on my phase, bud, and I hope you're doing well. Thanks for fucking popping in. Seems like everything's going really fucking swimmingly for you, man. Since your fucking demonetization, I think you've bounced back or whatever. My tube says, my love, my late horse show. Yeah, dude. Fucking Dino's old school. Fucking Dino's been a supporter of mine since I had 100 subs, and I'm about to hit 10,000. So Dino has been a really good friend, very supportive, come on my show, giving me shout outs, been very kind to me. And he's grown and I've grown. And I just see he's just a fucking fun dude. He's a good time. Just saw new images of the new Pinhead, and I'm not sure. Yeah, you know what? I'm like, okay, fuck the race swap. I mean, fuck the gender swap. You know, it's a trans actor, whatever. I don't care. It looks cool. If it's good, it's good. I'm like, the trailer looked cool. I thought the trailer had the vibes. I was like, they might be onto something. I hope they don't try to trick me. Don't trick me. Give me what the trailer was kind of showing me. I like the weird box. I like that they were doing some weird shit with that. You prick your finger in the box, something. They were expanding the lore a little bit there. It had me intrigued. So I was like, this could be good. Cautiously optimistic. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, dude. Dude, are you remonetized now? What's going on? Dino, are you remonetized? What's going on? Someone needs to make a Dino the dinosaur with a bunch of needles in it. Yeah. Well, that's you, man. You just had the thought. You should do it. I love Eric Harrison, late and R-rated. Oh, so yeah. So okay, you're okay. Now I got you. Now I get you. Like, okay, yeah. So like, I was like, when I first started my channel, Eric's got probably 4 or 5 years on me or something. And when I started out as a podcast. So I just kind of migrated over to YouTube when my horror, like, there was like a podcast aggregator called horrophilia.com, and that's where I started out. And then when they started talking about ending that, I started the YouTube channel. And so Eric had already, he had started way before me, and I just loved his sort of brand of humor and like subversive sort of weirdo guy, drunken commentary thing, and I really liked it. I was like, this guy gets me, So I just kind of, I think I rode Eric's coattails a little bit, and I really liked Dino and his co-host back in the old days too, and so we were all kind of a little friendly and would overlap a little bit. So like Dino and Eric and I would share shows together a little bit for a while there, for a couple of years, and then I get you, man, because we're just kind of like haphazard, fun, loving, earnest sort of guys that aren't trying to, we're not grifting off of, like, we're not trying to. I'm not trying to disparage anybody, but there's a certain YouTube channel that gets, hundreds of thousands of followers that, they basically find the topic of the day and they just fucking take a diarrhea dump all over it. And, I like those channels. I think they're funny, but I just can't do it because I just don't want to be a negative fucking spreader. Like, I want to celebrate what I like, And if I'm doing a review of something, I'll be honest. I'm like, I didn't like it, but I want to be a celebrator of things that we love. Like, I love Ring Stevens. She's my favorite. Like, they're doing a, Slime Ball Bolorama 2 coming out. She directed it. I'm like, yeah, I want to see that. Like, I want to focus on the shit that I like. I don't want to go, oh my God, Kathleen Kennedy. Like, I don't know. I don't want to do that. I just want to focus on the things I like. And unfortunately, the things I like, it's my channel is a slow burn, but I feel, to growth, but I feel like I get the people that love, I want to be the people who love the things that I love and don't just check in to see me shitting on, fucking, Ray Skywalker or something, yeah, and Dino loves Eric too. I miss Eric. Where is he? I check in on with him every now and then, text him. I'd be like, hey, dude, what's going on? And he's just, he's living his life. He's just not making content anymore. And I just try not to bug him too much because I just want to leave him alone, just if he ever, he's got my number if he wants to hang out. And every now and then, if it's something bombastic I want to do, like, I don't know. I did Friday the 13th celebration with Wazell. I reached out to him. I was like, hey, do you want to come on? He's like, I just don't feel up to it. Cool. I'm always here if you want to do something, bro. I miss you, because Eric's fucking fun as shit. Let's see. Yeah, man, that's where Horophilia was the shit. Like, I just, that's what inspired me to have the balls to fucking do a horror podcast, and, I didn't know what I didn't know, I didn't know what I was a horror fan, but I didn't know a lot, so I started out with just rudimentary knowledge and I grew it. That's the beauty, the fun of it was like learning through other people, like sharing, people telling me things, correcting me, like keep people giving me like, suggestions of things to watch. And like, I was like, wow, I had no idea. I would get like fucking a list of 12 movies that were all like 70s, early 80s. I'd never seen them. I was like, wow, I had no idea, I mean, I knew they were there, but I didn't, I found a community that I could figure out all this shit with. And so I really felt lucky that I got to slip in there because some of the best horror podcasts ever were on horophilia.com. And I probably, so Jason Lloyd, who was the guy who ran it, and he ran it for like 12 years or something. And he was like, I was like, dude, I want to do a show, like I had nothing, no guest appearances, no nothing. I was like, I can do this. Like, I want to do the show called the R-rated horror commentary podcast. And I was like, I must have fucking begged him for like a year because I just started doing shows, I think. And then I probably had like, I don't know, 5, maybe, I don't know. My recollection might be a little off, but I had some shows in there. And then like I kept like so going back to Jason and be like, dude, please, I know like I'm supposed to be here. Like I really want to be here, And then one day I got a message from him. He's like, oh, I just saw all these messages. And I don't think that's true. I think he was being nice. I think that he finally like saw a show that I did or heard a show I did that he thought was good. And he was like, okay. That's what I think. I'm probably being paranoid, but I was like constantly like basically begging him to let me be on the network. And then he finally put me on. And then so it's the R-rated horror commentary podcast. And Wazell from Banana Laser, and I got Alex Edwards and Dave Z and other horror Philly hosts would come on, Dan Chase, and just people pop on as guests and stuff, and I would do interviews and stuff, and I just really worked hard at it for a while, and we got a little bit of following there, and then all of a sudden it was like Jason Lloyd was like, I can't do it anymore. It's too expensive, it's too time consuming, and we understood because it's really hard to run one show, much less handle 10, 12 shows, upload them. And he was involved too. It wasn't just like he was just uploading them. He was involved in promoting and all that. And it was just, it broke. He said he was going to cancel one February, and then he gave us another year to kind of get our affairs in order. And so I started moving shit to YouTube, and I started way before that, but I started getting serious about moving shit to YouTube. And then it finally happened where Horophilia went down, and it was the end of an era, but I'm glad I got in there right at the end. And so I just started building the YouTube channel, And I changed the name for R-rated horror commentary podcast to R-rated show because it just made more sense. And then, it just it's sort of evolved into what it is now. I mean, which is like a more slimmed down Weight Watchers version of it. I don't go as hard now because I work more, but it's still alive. I'm like thinking about rebranding a little bit, making it anew and changing things up to give it some new life and make it more interesting. And, you have to keep changing to any creative thing always changes. It has to evolve to something new. And it's been like 4 years already. So maybe a new logo, maybe some new graphics, maybe a new format, all I know is that, commentary stuff is getting a little old. And movie reviews are getting old. So like, what do I do that's interesting for the people who watch my channel? That's new and different and something creatively new and stuff like that. So, Johnny Bougie says, can you talk about El Gato's beef and Bobo? It's pretty crazy. I don't know what that is. The cat's beef with Bobo. What is that? Johnny, if you're still listening, man, can you give me some context? I'm not really sure. If I know what it is, I'll talk about it. I'm still watching older movies and watching new stuff. I am so loving with Giallos, and at the top of my list. Yeah, man. It's always, you got to keep exploring, keep looking for the old stuff that's new to you. I keep trying to do that. Hang on one second. Work text. Okay. You got to keep looking for the old that makes it new. You know what I mean? Something that excites you again. I mean, I swear to God, every year I rewatch like Halloween 3. I'm like, is this the year I'm gonna fucking get into this movie? I go to conventions, I see new movies, I go to filming locations, I do whatever I can do to keep my hooks into the horror community and keep trying to find stuff that inspires me to eventually make something new. But I mean, Giallos and stuff, I'm still, I wouldn't say my toes are dipped in, but I'm up to maybe my ankle. I'm still kind of getting to know. There's a lot of stuff there to digest, So Joe Bob helps a little bit with that. I get some, Asian horror. One Cut of the Dead is incredible. If you've never seen One Cut of the Dead, holy shit, see that movie. And I guess I would say just keep talking to other horror fans. I think all my faves love horror. All of my faves love horror, want quality to spread, but we'll be honest, when asked, good group of, yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, just I don't know, man. I watch all kinds of horror channels, and I try to sample different content people make. And I like the ones that are the most different from mine, I guess. Pizzao is pretty good. He does his own thing. Do you know Eric doesn't make content anymore, but his old stuff's really good. 80s Slasher, 80s Slashers channel is pretty fun. It's really simple, but I kind of like the simplicity of it. It's just, he'll just hold a Blu-ray in front of the camera and he'll just chatter about it for like 20 minutes. So I kind of like that as terms of like, it just cuts to the quick. I really enjoyed his top 80s slashers. That was cool because there was a couple on there like that were early on in the, high up on the list that were like new, I hadn't heard of, and I watched them all. So I like, what I do is I would watch his, like, his videos as they would come out, and I had on my notes on my phone, I would just, every time he'd come up with a movie I hadn't seen before, I'd write down. And then when I had the whole list done, I just watched them all. Some of them I'm like, oh wait, I've seen this, but some other ones I'm like, holy shit, I've never seen this before. But you have to keep looking for new stuff, and you might watch 12 movies and they all suck, but one like really fucking blows your load, Dino says I'll talk to him too. Want to get a horror podcast I had on there, but he ignored me. Well, Eric. I don't know Eric personally that well, so I know he's got a life he's living, and he owes me nothing. We're just podcast friends, and if he ever stumbles back out when he's feeling good and he wants to come be part of our thing, my show or your show, then I always tell him, dude, the fucking welcome mat's rolled out for your fucking lazy ass. Like, whenever you want, man, like, come on out, like, I fucking, he's great to have on the show. We have a good time. One of my favorite shows that we ever did together was Poltergeist. Like, we did that show, which was, I thought, really good. And then we talked after the show ended. We just talked on Skype for like 2 or 3 hours after. And we just fucking, I don't know. We just had fun hanging out and talking about life and shit. That's how much I enjoy talking to him. But, we all have our roller coaster ride. Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down. And if he's not in the mood to fucking be doing content, then fuck, I don't give a shit. I'm going to wrap it up. I think I've been on here for a little bit. It's almost 2 hours. So if you got anybody's out there listening, they got any like last questions or anything you want to touch on real fast, I gotta hang up in about 5 minutes. So Dino, we should do something, maybe we could do, I don't know, Sorority Babe Cybo Ballerama or something before the second one comes out, or we can do something. I don't even care what it is, because we haven't done anything, I think, since Evil Game, or what was it, Evil Tunes maybe, or something. Been a while, but we should get together and celebrate our evolved selves and just chit chat. It's been a while since we've done that. But yeah, I probably should get going because it's getting late in New Jersey, and this was a good live. This is like the first live stream I've done that's just chatting, that actually people showed up and we had a good chat all the way through. This normally it's just me talking to nobody. MyTube says, I would love to see a collab. Yeah, me and Dino have collaborated together before. A couple times. I think I've been on his channel, maybe. I think he's been on my channel. I know that. I think we did My Bloody Valentine, or Dino, which one was it? I can't remember. It was like maybe My Bloody Valentine. I know me and Eric did that. We did Evil Tunes. We've done stuff, man. I mean, you have to go back and look through my catalog of stuff, because it's always in the title. Me and Dino, me and Eric, blah blah blah. Go back and listen to the old version of us doing some dumb shit together and fucking being stupid. But we'll do, if Dino wants to. He knows he's invited. If Dino texted me or messaged me, he's like, dude, let's do a show. I'd be like, what time, when, where? I don't do a lot of content anymore. I just kind of, I do stuff. I do, chats, and I do a commentary now and then, maybe a review now. And, it's not like a regular thing like I used to do, but I prefer it this way because it's less like a job. But anytime these guys come up and they're like, want to do a show, I'm like, yeah, I'm there. Totally. I will say that I'm doing a 10,000, sub celebration. Wizel, Nick Utam, Aaron, definitely going to be on the show. They've said yes. So if we can get the schedules together and it all matches up, it'll be the four of us. And Zach too. Aaron and Zach from Revival House, Wizel, and Nick Utam. So it'll be that will be an epic fun time. I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know if we're just gonna chat. I don't know if we're gonna do a commentary. I don't know if we're just gonna do news of the day or just reminisce about shit. I don't know, but I'm 13 subs away from 10,000 subs, so it's gonna be soon. It's really like maybe the next week or two. So watch out for that. I'll definitely announce it on my Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube community. I'll let you guys know when I got something Maybe we'll live stream it. Maybe I'll just record it ahead of time and then post it as a premiere or something. We'll see. But last one here. I have most of everyone's collabs. Laugh out loud. Perhaps something like Cronenberg. Yeah, something different would be cool. Something different. I actually think it'd be cool to do like a commentary for like Human Centipede or something, because those, like, that's a whole like franchise I never got into that I always really wanted to. I always really liked the first one. I thought it was funny. So maybe we'll do Human Centipede or something. But I just want to say thanks to Blocko's Modern, MyTube, Dino, and this fella, Johnny Bougie. Thanks for jumping in. Thanks for keeping me company. And as always, guys, have a good time. Be good. One last message here. I'll try to add something to Reddit. Try to grab it. Yeah, man. Don't put yourself out, but if you want to promote me a little bit, that's cool. I'm those, I'll get those 13 subs in like a couple days. It's not a big deal. There's no deadline. But as always, guys, I love you. Stay awesome. Stay R-rated. Cheers.